At the DC Armory, the air carried a sense of history, discipline, and duty. This week, Fox News host and Army veteran Pete Hegseth joined senior officials from the Department of Defense in paying a visit to members of the National Guard stationed there. For the Guardsmen, who so often find themselves called upon in moments of crisis, from natural disasters to overseas deployments, this visit was not merely ceremonial. It was an acknowledgement of their service, a recognition of their sacrifices, and a reminder that their mission continues to hold weight at the heart of the nation's capital. The DC Armory is more than just a building. It has long stood as a symbol of readiness and service. Situated near the Capitol and the National Mall, it has housed countless mobilizations during moments of urgency in American history. Over the past few years, it has been the staging ground for Guardsmen responding to protests, security threats, and the pandemic. For many of the men and women who walk its halls, the Armory feels less like an outpost and more like a second home, one tied deeply to the city and to the nation itself. Pete Hegseth's presence carried a particular resonance. A former Army officer who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, Hegseth has built his public profile not only as a media figure, but also as a voice for veterans and active duty service members. His visit wasn't political in tone, but rather grounded in camaraderie, the kind that comes from someone who has worn the uniform, endured the long deployments, and understands the sacrifices asked of Guardsmen. When he spoke to the soldiers gathered, his message was straightforward. Your service matters. And it is seen. Alongside Hegseth were senior Department of Defense officials, whose role was equally significant. In a time when the U.S. military faces both external challenges and internal strains, recruitment shortfalls, stretched resources, and growing global threats, the National Guard has often been the stopgap. These officials emphasized how essential Guardsmen have been in bridging the gap between local communities and the broader defense mission. They reminded the assembled troops that their dual role, serving both state and nation, makes them unique within the armed forces. The visit was not just speeches and handshakes. Guardsmen had the opportunity to showcase their readiness and ongoing training. Demonstrations of equipment, discussions about recent deployments, and conversations about the Guard's evolving role filled the day. For younger members, this was an important chance to see leadership up close, to feel that their day-to-day routines are part of a larger picture. For veterans in the ranks, it was reassurance that their years of experience continue to shape the force in meaningful ways. One Guardsman, when asked what the visit meant, described it simply: "It shows we're not forgotten." That sentiment reflects a quiet truth of service in the Guard. Unlike active duty soldiers stationed abroad or Marines in a high-profile deployment, the Guard often operates in the shadows of the national spotlight. Their missions may be local: flood relief, wildfire response, or civil support. But the impact they leave is deeply national. Recognition from leaders and veterans who have walked the same path carries weight in reinforcing that sense of purpose. The visit also sparked conversations about the Guard's evolving role in an uncertain world. With rising tensions globally, from Eastern Europe to the South China Sea, and increasing reliance on domestic mobilizations, Guardsmen are being asked to do more with fewer resources. Senior officials acknowledged these challenges candidly, affirming that sustaining the Guard's readiness is not optional, but essential. Beyond strategy, there was a deeply human dimension to the visit. Guardsmen talked about balancing civilian jobs and family life with their military commitments. Some had recently returned from overseas rotations, while others were preparing for future missions. Hegseth and the defense officials listened, asked questions, and shared their own experiences. It was less about policy prescriptions and more about building trust. As the day came to a close, the DC Armory remained what it has always been, a place where past and present meet in service of the nation. The visit underscored that the Guard is not simply a backup force, but a frontline contributor to America's defense and resilience. For the soldiers, the message carried home was clear. Whether in uniform for a weekend drill or standing guard in moments of national crisis, their presence matters. Moments like these may not make sweeping headlines, but within the Guard, they reinforce the chain of trust that connects citizen soldiers to the broader defense of the United States. In an era where so much attention is on the great power rivalries abroad or the politics of Washington, it is the quiet, steady dedication of the National Guard that ensures the nation's security at home. And visits like this one, where leaders stop to recognize, listen, and encourage, remind us all that service at every level deserves to be honored.